Hi everyone. Welcome to Stocks Beyond Numbers channel. By the way, this is a new channel that was launched in the beginning of 2022, and if you are interested in stocks, and also willing to learn more than just some numbers such as financial ratios or metrics, then this channel could be one of the useful sources of information about stocks. Please do not forget to subscribe and stay informed about new episodes. As you may know, there is an ocean information about challenges that Intel is facing at this point. Some headlines include statements about customers like Apple leaving Intel, others discuss manufacturing delays. In addition to that, some analysts also point to the fact that Intel main competitor, AMD, is gradually taking market share from Intel. In the light of all those news, many investors are now questioning an idea of investing money into Intel stock. That is why in today's episode we will try to find out if it's worth investing money into Intel stock. To answer this question, as usually, we will go beyond just numbers and we'll have a deep dive into Intel's business, and also, we will take a look into a new game plan that was presented during Investors Day in 2022. First of all, let's take a look on Intel stock and then compare its performance relative to its main competitor, AMD. To exclude black swan type events from our analysis, let's take a look on a 10-year stock trend. As you can see from the chart, in the last 10 years, Intel's stock went up by 84% excluding adjustments for dividend income. To account for that, we'll need to take a look into dividend history for 10 years. Information about dividend history is available on many sources including the Nasdaq website. So using publicly available data and a simple math, we end up with an amount of $11 attributed to dividend income per one share of Intel for last 10 years. Now, to calculate total return on investment into one share of Intel for 10 years, we need to sum up dividend income and stock price increase. As a result, we end up with 182% of total return on investment into one share. That doesn't look bad, right? Now let's see where one of the Intel's major competitors stands. As you can see from the chart, in the last 10 years, AMD's stock went up by astonishing 1,649% for the same period. Because of the fact that AMD didn't pay any dividends, 1,649% is a final number that represents total return on investment into AMD's stock. Now we need to find out reasons for this significant difference in returns. First of all, let's take a look into business trends. As you can see from the chart, AMD's quarterly revenue has substantially increased from the beginning of 2020 to the third quarter of 2021. Now looking into Intel's revenue, we can see that it has also increased for the last 10 years, but in the beginning of 2020 until third quarter of 2021, on average, it has been flat since start to the end of this period. It's now obvious that stock performance for both Intel and AMD depends on the business trends, especially on its revenue. Now, let's move forward and see what exactly happened in the businesses of both companies during same period. Let's start with AMD and let's take a look on its product roadmap which, by the way, was included into its corporate presentation. According to the sources listed down below, AMD's Ryzen family 6000, which is also referred as Zen 3 chips, have been on 7 nanometers since 2019. By the way, if you are not familiar with CPU production process, you can find a link to the video that provides an overview of that process, but for the purpose of this video, let's just say that nanometers describe size of the transistors that are used in CPU. Smaller size means that more transistors can be added, therefore making a CPU more efficient. During one of the presentations, AMD's CEO, Lisa Su, called Zen 4 series as the most powerful PC processors ever built. In addition to that, AMD Ryzen 7000 family, also called Zen 4, will ship in the back half of this year on TSMC's N5 node. Now let's see where exactly Intel stands with their offerings in comparison to AMD. Now let's take a look on Intel's product roadmap which was also included into Intel's 2022 Investors Day presentation. Intel's Series 7 CPU family is comprised of 2 generations of the CPUs, the 11th and 12th. 12th generation CPU, which is also called as Alder Lake, is the successor to 10 nanometers Superfin CPU. 10 nanometers Superfin is also called as Tiger Lake. While Tiger Lake was available as of late 2020, Alder Lake is planned to be released in the first half of 2022. From the manufacturing process standpoint, as you can see, Intel fell behind AMD approximately by a year. However, we need to note a fact that some experts consider Intel's 11th generation of 10nm chips to be competitive with AMD's cutting-edge 7nm Ryzen chips. As our channel isn't focused on conducting technical analysis or running performance benchmarks, we will use revenues numbers as proxy for trends in businesses of both these companies. Based on these trends, we can make a conclusion that at this point in time, AMD is a little bit ahead of Intel in their core business, which is CPU design and manufacturing. Please note that unlike Intel, which produces many of their products, including the CPUs, at their own foundries, AMD, on contrary, is a fabless company and outsources their product manufacturing to the TSMC. At present, TSMC is one of the largest semiconductor foundry in the world. Now, we know what exactly has caused Intel's revenue to flat out in 2020. As a next step, let's find out how exactly Intel is planning to get back on the right track. As we already mentioned, Intel is one of the largest semiconductor companies that has footprints in many segments of the semiconductors market, including chip design and product manufacturing. Please note that many experts call semiconductor manufacturing a foundry, and we will be using this term throughout this presentation. In addition to designing and manufacturing various semiconductor products, Intel also provides software solutions designed to enhance capabilities of its hardware and to expand use of its hardware across many industries. Some of you may already know that Intel has offices, labs, and foundries in many parts of the world. It's now obvious that Intel's geography is one of its key assets. This asset can play an important role in the mitigation of known geopolitical risks that can affect not only semiconductors, but also many other industries. Till this point in time, Intel's foundry business was focused on producing only its own products. While this strategy was instrumental in the age of desktop computing, when x86 CPU design prevailed on majority devices across the world, today's reality is completely different. As you know, at present, we live in the age of AI-powered devices, which include electric cars, robots, and many of these devices require a sophisticated set of semiconductors. To address an increasing demand in semiconductors across the world, Intel is planning to build additional foundries in the state of Ohio, in the US, and also is in talks about building a new foundry in Germany. As you understand, adding additional capacity will not only expedite customer deliveries of Intel's products, but also could make newly built Intel foundries available for the famous fabless semiconductor companies, including such big names as Nvidia, AMD, Apple, and others. Such strategy could be win-win approach for Intel and its competitors. Second part of Intel's strategic transformation will be focused on realigning its business offerings towards specific market needs. Under Pat Gelsinger, who is a new CEO of Intel since 2021, Intel's business units will be focused on 6 strategic market segments, including foundry, autonomous driving, computing systems and graphics, network, data center, and client computing. There is no doubt that this approach will not only enhance Intel's capabilities and competitive advantages, but also would support better allocation of its resources towards needs of customers in specific domains. In addition to realigning its service delivery structure, Intel will also realign its product development efforts towards specific needs in selected market segments. An ultimate goal of Intel's management is to regain its leadership across entire spectrum of semiconductor products and services, including, but not limited to the CPUs, data center products, network and connectivity, accelerated computer graphics, and also solutions for autonomous driving. Third part of Intel's strategic plan is perhaps as important as 2 other parts combined. Unlike in the past, Intel's current strategy is to open up its ecosystem, which is comprised of foundries, solutions, tools, and also process know-how, to all customers. It's not a secret that at present, many fabless semiconductor companies depend on TSMC's capacity, which by the way, is located across the ocean, in Taiwan. Now, you can imagine that Intel's new plan to open up its foundries, IPs, standards, and process know-how could be actually a game changer for those customers who need their products shipped and delivered in countries of their residence. We need to remember, however, about the fact that one of the largest foundry, the TSMC, has also made a decision and is already building an additional foundry in the US. It is obvious that Intel's path to success in the foundry business is not guaranteed and will depend on many factors, including its pricing power, technological leadership, and also their relationships with many customers across the world, including Apple Corporation. Despite the fact that Apple has designed their own CPU, it's quite unlikely that they will start building their own foundry. While Apple has already outsourced its CPU production to the TSMC, things may change in the future, especially if Intel will be able to regain its leadership in different segments of the market that we already discussed in this episode. Alright, we have covered a lot of important information, and it's finally time for a final thoughts on the Intel stock. From one side, investment into Intel stock at this point is a little risky, but from the other side, this opportunity may offer significant rewards in 3 to 5 years from now. As we have seen at the beginning of this episode, at present, Intel stock is trading at historical low, and for that reason, its current price actually looks like an appealing long-term investment opportunity. Also, do not forget that unlike many other value stocks, Intel share pays a competitive dividend, which can be a perfect protection in times of high inflation. Investors also need to remember that Intel is a global company that has many assets, including its new management team, which is fully focused on making it #1 semiconductor company on the market. We know that changes usually take time. That is why if you look for a quick return from your investments, then Intel stock, perhaps, should be out of your considerations at this point. Many analysts expect next year to be a turning point in Intel's business. Some analysts are projecting Intel's stock price to reach $72 per share, which is almost a 30% return from the current level. On this channel, we believe that Intel's stock price appreciation will take some time, and its price won't go up in a straight line, but a target in the range of $60 to $70 per share is a realistic target. Please, also do not forget that there is always a risk of unforeseen events. That is why it's important to diversify your investments across different types of assets. Keep in mind that Intel stock is definitely not an exception from this traditional approach of portfolio diversification. We will continue to monitor Intel stock on our channel, and if you find this video interesting and helpful, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. If you like this episode, please also do not forget to give us a like right down below the video. Your like will help other users to find this video on a platform and also will support this channel. If you have any questions or comments, please also feel free to share them right down below the video in the comments section. If you prefer using email, you can also send your questions to stocksbeyondnumbers@gmail.com. Thanks a lot for watching, and come back for other stocks.